Belatedly, we're going to call the March 28th meeting of the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust in order. And the first item on the agenda is a resolution for me.
Would you please join us?
Yes.
Front by the
Yeah,
podium?
I will.
I have the privilege of reading a resolution of appreciation to Pete White. Whereas the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust is a public trust created under Title 60 of the Oklahoma Statutes 1960 for the primary purpose of financing the construction, installation, maintenance, improvement, and repair of the water and wastewater systems for the city of Oklahoma City. Whereas Mr. Pete White was originally sworn in as a trustee in 1984, serving one term. Whereas during his first term in 1985, Pete White led the reorganization of the trust by amending the bond and trust indentures, establishing water and wastewater utilities as enterprise systems, beginning a new era of transparency, planning, and sustainability. In 2005, Pete White became his second term in office as chairman. Under Chairman White's leadership, Aquat achieved Standard & Poor's and Moody's highest bond ratings, placing Aquat in the top 5.5% of nationwide water utilities and top 3.2% of wastewater utilities, confirming excellence and consistency in implementing proper policies and oversight. Whereas under Chairman White's leadership, major capital projects improved water and wastewater services in the city and initiated several erosion control, beautification, and water quality projects in and around the lake reservations. Chairman White emphasized and assumed responsibility for strengthening Southeast Oklahoma partnerships with the members of the Lake Atoka Reservation Association and McGee Creek Authority. Chairman White also played a supporting role in the water rights settlement, which was a significant step in building and enhancing the relationships between the city, the trust, the Chickasaw Nation, and the Choctaw Nation, and in furthering a statewide water planning process. Whereas Chairman White's own legacy will include the extension of the Southeast Water System from Lake Atoka to McGee Creek and soon to Sardis Lake, giving the city and the trust the ability to serve the greater Oklahoma City area well into the future and to make raw water available to cities and customers along the pipelines from Sardis Lake to Lake Stanley Draper. Now therefore be it resolved by the trustees of the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust that they do hereby gratefully recognize the contributions of Pete White for his leadership, dedication, and guidance during his 17 years of loyal service to the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I've about run out of people to thank. Well, actually, I've about run out of time to thank people. But I appreciate all of you. The staff of this water trust is just amazing. All the things that Francis read in that resolution could not have been accomplished without a great staff. It's just been an honor and pleasure to have done what I've done over the last several years. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pete, Mr. Chairman, on behalf of the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust and their staff, they want to present you with this clock. I don't know why you'll need a clock from this point on, but anyway, it's a token of their appreciation for everything you've done for the city of Oklahoma City.
we need a resolution for that? I mean, a motion? So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the resolution. Anybody want to comment or speak? I mean, it's like I haven't had enough accolades yet. I mean, anyway, I so appreciate this. If everybody in favor say aye. Or vote. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the minutes for the March 14th meeting. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
A motion and a second to approve the minutes. Are there questions, comments, additions, corrections? Hearing none, voting please. The minutes are approved. Next item is consent docket.
Move approval subject to individual consideration.
Motion and a second to approve the consent docket. Are there items to be looked at separately? Hearing none, voting please. Consent docket's approved. Next is the concurrence docket.
Move approval subject to individual consideration.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the concurrence docket. Are there comments or questions? Voting please. Concurrence docket's approved. Next item for individual consideration. Services agreement with Parks and Recreation for ground maintenance. On all the things that, is this virtually everything the Water Trust does, we're going to give it to the parks?
Exception of the pump stations where we need to have folks there servicing the pump stations, so we'll continue to cut those areas.
Move approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. We have comments?
Another Pete White initiative.
Yeah, well, it has always seemed to me that, the parks, people that run parks, they love grass. They love trees, Engineers run water departments, they don't give a damn about trees, So it made sense to me to put people that love the grass and love the trees into charge of it. So anyway, I appreciate it. Voting please. The agreement is approved. Next item from trustees. Any comments?
I've got one more shot at you, I think, on Thursday night, but I'm not. But the fact of the matter is that you've really made a difference to bring this utility forward over generations, and some of those things kind of go unnoticed. But the forethought of getting the water and wastewaters combined into a standalone enterprise and Title 60 trust, the way that was done, reformatting that trustees and getting the attorneys and the bankers off of it, and having a different policy set up, and then you've been a standard for that model being used, down the line for the Economic Development Trust or for the Airport Trust or for other trusts that we've gone forward. I think that's good government, the way that we've set that up. But you've really been an advocate for a lot of things. For when we went out and you got the Canton storage rights and your support, although sometimes you had a little bit of doubt as we went down the Stardust Road, but you were there with us all the way through on that. Really sets the utility up in the future. Your guidance to make prudent financial decisions that helps us ensure a AAA rating on the utilities, one of the few that's out there. The conservation program that we've got in place. You're the one that said, every other day watering is enough, and that's how we're going to be doing business in the future. Really, some significant policy changes as we go forward, and of course, improving Lake Draper and the recreational issues out there, and some of the things that we've done at Hefner. The reliability of the system over the years, that we now can provide the peak water supplies during the summer that we never have been able to do. You've been beyond a lot of significant changes for the utilities, and really sets us up in the utilities, but in the city as a whole in the future, because with no water and challenges of water could really inhibit our ability to grow and do economic development. So I just want to thank you for the 30 years that I've known you, and the things that you've accomplished.
Thank you. Well, Jim, just in response to that, I've been very fortunate. You've been around and you've had good ideas. A lot of times I'm able to get credit for things that that maybe really weren't my idea. I just heard them and latched onto them. Terry Childers was another person that fits that category. The enterprise system was something that was his baby, and I was just fortunate enough to be here and be the engineer on the train. But this has been a good ride for me, I can tell you. And I thank you. You've been a great deal of it, starting but when you got hired to be the water director all the way through today, and I appreciate you. Next item is the general manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything to add to the report, but I do have something to say. Been here for a short period of time, 6 months now, and I can tell you without any hesitation whatsoever, I've never met another person more dedicated and committed to not just serving the community, but the region. Looking after the welfare of the whole region, and it's been my pleasure to serve with you for this short period of time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. I do have one comment. Something came up in council meeting today about credit card fees on people that pay their bills. We're talking about doing that to motel operators. There is some difference in the law, but my view is that's a distinction that doesn't really make much difference when it gets down to the bottom line. It's all revenue for the city that's needs to be captured. We voted today on the city council to continue that for a month. Is that right? Yeah, for 4 weeks. And look at all the different utilities, all the different things we charge, and see if that could be applied across the board. And I understand a lot of people now, a growing number of people are paying their water bill with a credit card. And I think that's something we ought to look at. If we're going to charge that fee, we ought to look at everything from green fees to water bills, in my opinion. But
Could I make a suggestion?
I'll be gone.
That staff come back with a report that looks at, how maybe a trend line as to how many more people are doing it, what we're paying in those fees, and maybe even a comparison of peer cities to see what other cities are doing, other water utilities are doing in relationship to credit card convenience.
Well, hopefully you'll have
Helpful
that
information.
Hopefully you have that information in a month. But it just seems to me it's a fairness issue. We're going to ask the hotel people to do it. We ought to ask other people to do it also. So.
Pete, I agree with that, and I'm sorry I missed that section of the council meeting this morning, but to some degree, I think people are receiving a benefit by paying for items, to the city by using a credit card. There's points and whatever, just a variety of benefits that they can receive. Now, in some cases, I do believe they run into cash flow problems and need to pay something with a credit card that can even impact a business to the point where they need to use a credit card. I understand that, and maybe this is, for those individuals, it's easier to use the credit card than going to the bank, but they need to be prepared to pay something for that convenience. And that fee is that charge that we're charged to allow that payment to be made with a credit card. So I think it's a good point that we should look at all users of credit cards for payments of government services. Certainly the state charges a fee, the federal government charges a fee. Why we shouldn't be is beyond me, especially in those instances where people are benefiting through the use of a personal credit card or a business credit card.
Thank you.